Hello, FINR2205 Personal Finance Management students. Well, it's time to touch base again and talk about the things that are coming up. And I'm in pause, and you, I'm sure, know by now, as you look over here on the side, that you see due dates that are coming up as well as new assignments that are about to open. That's what upcoming events means. So on March the 6th, which as of the time of this recording is only 2 days away, you're going to be finished with your Chapter 6 quiz, as well as your discussion board posting on consumer credit. But as you can see, exam number 1 follows those things. So as you look at the dates here, exam number 1, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. Now, where will exam number 1 be taken? It'll be taken online. So as I click the quizzes link, again, you've probably already seen the Chapter 6 quiz. You're very familiar with the quiz interface, but down here, you've probably already seen exam number 1, covering chapters 1 through 6. Now, I'm going to walk you through some of the instructions, but some things you probably, again, have already noticed. First of all, a big, significant difference in this test is that you have one attempt at the test. When you're doing quizzes, you're practicing, and I encourage you, I have encouraged you all semester to repeat your work on these quizzes. Get the highest score possible. But each time you repeat the quiz, you are studying, you're being exposed to more of the questions in the question pool, and that helps you to prepare for exam number 1, because the questions for exam number 1 are randomly selected from a big pool of questions. Where does that pool of questions come from? The same pool that Chapter 1 quiz, Chapter 2 quiz, Chapter 3, 4, 5, 6 quiz. Those pools of questions have now been combined into the exam number 1 pool. Now here, unlimited attempts you got to study for these quizzes, but for the exam, 1 attempt, and we're going to talk even more about that. Well, when is the exam available to you? You can see it here. This is what I call the window of availability. But very important as we go through the instructions that you understand you do not have this entire date range to take the quiz, the exam. Once you begin the exam, a time limit will apply. Once the exam is started, there is a limited amount of time. Time limits apply. There's a lock on the quiz. The reason for this lock is because it's password protected. This will prevent you from accidentally starting the quiz, okay? Because why? You only have 1 attempt, okay? So, how do you find out all the instructions for this quiz? You're going to go to Content. Now, once I'm on the Content link, scroll down and look at all this work that you have completed. This is good job, right? You have completed all this work. Come down here and you're going to see 2 links under the Exam 1 category. The first one says Instructions, and that's what we're going to look at. The second one, as you probably know by now, will take you directly to the exam. Again, I don't want you to start it accidentally, not until you're ready. Let's look at the instructions. Click the word Instructions. Now, be patient as the screen loads, because it can take a little bit of time, so be very, very patient. 2 things I'm going to recommend to you at this point. One is that you print this document so that you have it available. Another is that you save it. Maybe save it to your desktop, someplace where you can access these instructions readily in case you need them. How do you print it? Well, depending on what version of Adobe Acrobat you have installed, there should be a little printer icon. See that up here? Okay. Oops. That should help you find that. Now also, and it's a little bit off screen, if you're on the newest version, then right over here you're going to see a button that helps you to download it. If you're on an older version, you will probably see a little picture of a square. It's supposed to look like a little floppy disk. It's normally like right in here, and that's a save button also. Okay, but you'll figure that out. At least print this so that you'll have this handy. Okay, let's go through the instructions. First and foremost, do your work independently, right? Now, here's one reason I want to emphasize this. This is a very fair test. You've had exposure to all the quiz questions if you have been doing the work and completing the chapter quizzes. So all I'm asking you now is to sit and to confidently answer all those questions in the exam setting, to express your confidence, right? In the quiz, you can practice. You mess up and you try again. But on the exam, I'm saying, what if you were at work and your boss asked you for the question and you had to come up with the answer? Well, you certainly would need to rely on yourself and your knowledge. So that's what I want you to do for the test. Complete it independently. In terms of the window of availability, now I've already shown you that that window is going to open Thursday, March the 7th, and it will close Monday, March the 11th. Now, you do not have this full time to take the exam. It means that sometime from Thursday to Monday, you need to log into Pause and to complete the test, okay? All right. Now, I would prefer that you try to take the test Thursday. You know why? Because if you run into a problem, you need access to a computer, you can't find a place to take the test, on Thursday that's not a problem, because you'll just tell yourself, well, good thing I started this Thursday because I've seen that I've run into a problem, but I can fix that on Friday, right? If you wait and Thursday goes by and Friday goes by and Saturday goes by and even Sunday, you've relaxed, you've put all this schoolwork behind you, and then Monday, maybe like at 10 o'clock at night, you say, oh my goodness, I have forgotten to take the test. Well, now there's a problem, because time is running out, and this is when students find out that they are in a jam, okay? Because they say, I need to go to the library, but guess what? Monday at 10 o'clock at night, most things are closed, right? So you're not going to be able to get in. So now you've tried to address the problem, and now it's 10:30, and you're calling your friend and you're saying, can I come over? It's 10:30 at night. And your friend says, but I have assignments that are due also, and I'm doing things, or I'm not at home, and all these things come up. And now you're on your cell phone and you're sending me an email on your cell phone saying, can you extend the test because I can't get in? Well, no, there's no retakes. We're going to talk about that in a minute. There's no extensions, because the reason this problem occurred is because you failed to plan. See, you're seeing that the problem is occurring Monday at, 11 o'clock. I said the problem occurred Thursday and Friday and Saturday and Sunday when you didn't schedule your time to take the exam. So don't fall into that trap, okay? Don't fall into that trap. Now, in red here, this is another message that is a common source of problems for students, which is why I put the message here to make you, avoid this problem, avoid this problem. You will say to me, you'll send me an email and you'll say, I was taking the test and my clock said 11:50. And yet, the computer kicked me out of the test and told me that the time had expired. You know why? Because your clock is 5 minutes slow. How do I know that? Because the clock that matters is the system's clock, not your clock, not your wristwatch, not the clock on your iPhone, not the clock on your tablet, not the clock on your computer. Okay, none of those things matter. But here's the real problem. The problem did not occur at 11:50 or 11:51 or 11:52. You see the pattern here? The problem occurred because you are calling it so close that you are now in a situation where seconds need to be synchronized so that you can get an answer to one more question. Probably still not even finished the test, right? Don't put yourself in that situation. You should plan to be done well in advance of this cutoff, because when that window closes, it closes tight. Don't be on the outside looking in, all right? Now, let me emphasize this again. You can take the test Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, even Monday, but I hope you don't wait that long, okay? But once you begin the test, time limits apply, and we're going to talk about that. Another thing to remember here is that you have only one attempt at the test. Now, you may not understand what I just said, because probably what you think is unless you experience a problem. But that's not what I said. I said that you have one attempt at the test. This is an important test. You should not enter it lightly. You should be prepared. You should be ready to finish. You should pick a computer that is reliable. You should be in a location where you are not concerned that your dial-up internet connection or cell phone connection is going to be disrupted. Okay? One attempt. Once you begin the test, you click the thing, you enter the password, and I'm going to tell you about that. The system's going to say, oh, that person just used their one attempt. So you say, yeah, but what if I have to go someplace? Well, then your one attempt is over. Okay? What if my computer crashes? Your one attempt is over. What if the internet drops it? Your one attempt is over. Okay? I'm being very serious with you, and I'm kind of in your face a little bit now, because I want you to understand how prepared and how ready to sit and take this test seriously you need to be. You do not have to come to campus, but that puts a responsibility on you. And that responsibility is that you have to create that test environment for yourself. Find a room. It can be your kitchen table. You've seen me talk to you from my kitchen table, right? And you send everybody out, go to the grocery store, go to the movies, but you stay home, and in an undistracted environment you take the test. Now, taking the test from home is nice. It's a convenience, but if you know that you can't trust the electricity, you can't trust your computer, you can't trust the internet, then you need to go to the campus. Okay, and take it from a reliable setting. Now, what if you start to take the test in the library and the library closes? That was your one attempt. You should look at the hours of operation before you go into the testing center, before you go into the library, before you go into the academic support center, before you go into a classroom up at the college. Make sure there's not another class that's getting ready to come in and sit down and take the test. Okay? All right, you can read this. I'm not reading all these instructions for you, but it's very important that you do. What I'm trying to emphasize to you is the nature of these instructions and how serious this can be. All you have to do is prepare. You are going to be fine if you approach it seriously. I have had students who have emailed me and said, I started the test and then I left to go to church. Well, you know, going to church is a good thing. I think that's wonderful, and it speaks highly of that person. But should this student have begun the test right before she went to church? No. You know, I think we would all agree that that was not the wise decision to make. But that's because she didn't hear me when I said time limits apply and one attempt, right? So I'm not going to reopen this. You need to take this seriously. That's kind of what I explain here. Now, what happens if you experience some really bad scenario? I had a student who said, I waited until Monday night to take the test. There was a lightning storm going on outside, and the power was blinking on and off. Well, guess what? She started the test, and guess what happened? Yep, that electricity went off. It stayed off for several hours, and she was unable to take the test. Well, that was her drop grade. Okay? Again, don't put yourself in that scenario. It's, that's when catastrophe strikes. Have you ever heard of Murphy's Law? This used to be big when I was in college. It probably has fallen out of fashion. But Murphy's Law says anything that can happen will happen, and at the worst possible time. We've all experienced that, the copier jamming when we are late for a meeting and we've got to have those copies. You can't find your textbook on the one day that the instructor said make sure you have your textbook in class, right? Well, we want to avoid those scenarios, and we can if we plan, okay? Now, one more note on this. In pause, and I know you're very familiar with pause at this point in the quizzes, you should save your responses as you answer the questions. You can always change your answers later. You just save again after you change your answer. I'm going to tell you another. These are all real stories. I had a student one time. I was watching her. She was in the classroom taking a test. And she went through and she answered all the questions, but she never saved a response. And all of a sudden, something happened and the computer rebooted. I don't know. It could have been that some software update had downloaded to her computer. It could have been a little glitch in the electricity. We never really did figure it out. But she had not saved any one of her responses. So we were able to get her back into the test. I can just tell you that if you do experience a computer class, the systems have what's called graceful recovery. And if you stay at that computer, boot back up and go right back in. Don't go to a different computer. Stay at that computer. Sometimes the test will pick back up. But it did pick back up for her, but guess what? It had lost all her answers. So she had to start over. Now, she had time to do that, but mentally she was very tired. I bet if she had saved those responses, she would have had a much better score, than when she had to do the test all over again from the beginning. Okay, so hopefully I've given you a little anxiety over that. I don't want to give you bad anxiety. I want to give you the kind of anxiety that encourages you to plan. Put it on your calendar. Think in your mind how you're going to handle this. Are you going to take it in the library? Are you going to take it at home? Are you going to take it at work? If so, how are you going to avoid interruptions? Okay. Once you begin, you will have 120 minutes to complete it. That's 2 hours. I don't think you're going to need 2 hours. I could have limited you to 90 minutes, which is, somewhat of a typical class period, although we have classes that meet for 3 hours in one night. So I could have set the time limit, really at almost anything. How fast you finish probably depends on how much you have studied and how well organized you are. Did you have your textbook sitting there next to you? Did you put sticky notes or some marker to say this is the beginning of chapter 1, this is the beginning of chapter 2, 3, 4? I even put a sticky note back at the index in the back of the book so that if I get a question that says, what's the definition of such and such, I can flip to the back, find that, flip to the chapter. Or the reason I mark the chapters is because sometimes I can remember, oh yeah, I remember that we covered that in chapter 3. And so if I have a sticky note right there at chapter 3, I can flip to the front of the chapter, look at the objectives in the front and say, yes, that's what this chapter was about, and I can go very quickly to that information. These are tips. These are just general test-taking tips that are going to help you use this 120 minutes efficiently. Now, once the clock begins, let me say this again, you cannot stop the clock for any reason. If you close the browser, if you log out of pause, the clock is going to keep on ticking. So that 120 minutes is going to count down. Think of it this way. If you were in a classroom and you were sitting to take the test and you said to your instructor, I have to go to the bathroom. That happens, right? Okay. You get up and you go to the bathroom, but the instructor doesn't say, take as long as you want because we'll just extend the test taking period. No, that's not how it works. You know that counts against your time. So if you take a break at any point, it's the clock is going to keep on counting. That's why you should plan to complete the test in a single sitting. When you are done, very important folks, very important. When you are done, press the submit button. I have to tell you that last semester many students struggled with this. You don't just close the browser. You are really relying on the computer system to handle everything for you on something that is as important and as high stakes. The test is 100 points? These are big points for your test. And so I wouldn't leave any of that to chance. When you have done and you take a breath and you check over your work and you say, I think I'm done, hit that submit button. That's the right thing to do. Then the system knows that you're done. Okay, so 50 questions, randomly selected multiple choice questions, right? Just like you've seen in the quizzes that you've taken, 2 points apiece. So you know that's 100 points. 2 times 50 is 100 points. Now, if we have 50 questions and our time limit was 120, I'm going to pull Excel up here to the front. So we have 120 minutes, right? We have 50 questions. I'm going to show you how to divide in Excel. You start with an equal sign and you say 120 divided by 50. That means you have 2.4 minutes. So you have a little over 2 minutes per question. I suspect that when you read the question, some of them you're going to say, oh yes, I remember this one. Maybe you have organized so well that you've printed out some of your previous quizzes. You look down and you see, oh yes. Now don't just say that the answer to that question last time was A, because you know that even the responses are in random order. What was A the first time you took it is now in position B, right? So the choices are randomized, the questions are randomized. Well, you look down and you say, that's right. I remember that the answer to this particular question was insurance, was credit card debt, was whatever, it was budgeting, whatever you happen to remember, and you select that as the answer. So maybe it takes you 15 seconds to answer a question. That means you have more time to answer a question that you may find a little more difficult. But again, you don't want to lollygag. You want to be organized. You want to be prepared so that you go through it very quickly. Okay, so 120 minutes, 50 questions, each question 2 points apiece. The questions come from chapters 1 through 6, randomly chosen from the pool of questions from your chapter quizzes. Here again is a reminder, read the questions and the answer choices carefully because the sequence of the questions is randomized, but also the sequence of the answers is randomized. All right. Where is this test? Well, of course it's in pause, as I showed you. It is exam number 1. And when you click on exam number 1, it's going to say, what is the password? And the password is exactly as you see on this sheet, good luck. Because I really wish you good luck. And now, it's all lowercase. There is no space. It is one word. So you just type it all together, good luck, one word. Right? Lowercase. Once you type that in and you click OK, the test is going to start, it's going to load up, and you're going to, in one sitting, go from start to finish. You are going to have, anything that you need to drink. You're going to have your book next to you. You're going to have, whatever you need, pencil, paper, whatever you feel you need so that you can finish that test all at one time. Now, finally, at the bottom, it says, what about your grade? Now, again, there's a reminder here. Save your work as you go. Save your responses. When you submit your work, I think I tell you your overall grade. I'm not sure, to tell you the truth. But I have delayed the detailed grading until the day after the test is due. So the test is due Monday night. So Tuesday morning, you can log in, go back to the test. There's a report option there. And you can see the question, the answers, you can see what you answered, what the correct answer is, whether or not it was scored right or wrong. Now, I encourage you to review that. If you find a mistake, this is what you do. You copy and paste the question. Do not tell me that you think number 3 was graded wrong, because I'll say, gosh, I don't think so. Okay? Here's your responsibility as a student. You copy the question and you paste it into an email. Now, that's the first part. Then you explain to me what's going on. And here's how you do it. You say, as you can see in the question below, I answered B and was marked wrong. The system says the answer is A. I disagree because A blah blah blah. And I believe B is correct because, okay? If you can make a convincing argument, every once in a while I give somebody a point because I see your perspective, okay? If you just say to me, question 3 is wrong, well, I don't think it is, okay? Now, if sometimes when you ask a question like that, it's possible that you really are wrong. But you know what? That's okay, folks. Nobody is sitting and pointing and laughing. What we'll do, sometimes it creates a really good discussion because you'll say, I think the answer should be B. The system has it marked as A. And I'll go in and look at it and I'll say, well, The reason that that you got this wrong is because you didn't see that this particular question was talking about personal liability, or I mean, I can't even think of an example, but you see what I'm saying? There could be a key word or a key phrase that you didn't concentrate on, but because we have the discussion, because you ask the question and you get the answer, you learn from it. And isn't that what college is supposed to be about? Okay, so it's going to be okay. Review your test results, look at the answers, don't be too critical of yourself, learn from any mistakes that you made. That being said, I hope everybody gets 100, right? And I think that you can. I think you're capable of that. Okay, so you can go through and read these test instructions. Let me just quickly review this again. The test is going to be located under quizzes. You can already see one attempt, the window of availability, but you need to understand that time limits do apply. You see that it's password protected. You know that the password is good luck, all one word, lowercase. Where are those test instructions? They are under content. Scroll down, exam number 1 category, and then exam number 1 instructions. You click that to open it. I encourage you to print this document, keep it someplace where you can find it quickly, and maybe also to save this to your desktop. Okay? Good luck, folks. These are the last couple things that you have to do, right? I'm going to go back to Course Home because you know that you have your Chapter 6 quiz and Chapter 6 discussion posting due. Then you do exam number 1, and then be safe as you enjoy a little bit of spring break, right? Just be safe. I will have the grades for your Chapter 5 discussion posting completed very soon. These are the last couple steps, and then enjoy a little bit of a break. Thank you. Stay strong as we enter this halfway point of the semester, okay? Very proud, and just keep up the good work.